Must watch on Manifest TV.
Hey everybody, Kiski here. Welcome to the latest and greatest, yes, a new show on Manifest TV. Every Saturday morning we're going to be waking up together, just good vibes. And I'm not alone. I'm here with
Katrina Faith. Hey everyone, welcome to Kingdom Culture. We do all things gospel music, all things gospel events, all things really gospel.
We're going to be here every Saturday morning, right?
One
date, activity, like everything.
Trust us.
Yes, 1 hour we're together. It's going to shake the whole weekend.
Yes.
It's going to be a beautiful one.
And we'll also be indoors, outdoors.
We are creative.
Creatives.
One place. Yeah, but it's going to be a beautiful one. It's going to be a very beautiful journey. We can't wait to see you on Manifest TV. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Manifest TV. Christ revealed. Manifest TV.
Hello viewers, you're most welcome to yet another episode of Soaring with Eagles. We are live on all our Manifest platforms, but we're also live on YouTube. Please tell a friend to tune in or share the link. My name is Pastor Joy Ninsiima, and tonight on Soaring with Eagles, we are honored to host a visionary entrepreneur, a trailblazer in Uganda's tourism industry, and a man whose journey from humble beginnings to building a thriving business empire continues to inspire many, Mr. Amos Wekesa. He is the founder and CEO of Great Lakes Safaris and a passionate advocate for showcasing the beauty and potential of Africa to the world. Stay tuned as we dive into his remarkable story and powerful insights. We're most welcome to have you, Mr. Wekesa.
Thank you, Joy. It's nice to see you after a long time.
Yes, it's nice to see you too. So, Amos, your story is one of resilience. Can you take us back to your early life and what shaped you?
It's a very long story. If I take you through my life, it will be 53 years, almost.
Yes.
So, if you have time for 53 years, then I can take you through. So anyway, I'll summarize it.
Yes.
When I was blessed to be born at the time of Idi Amin, 1973. So I'll be making about 53 years next month. So it's a very long time. It was a tough time for generally the people who were born at that time because there was a lot of scarcity. So things that people take for granted, especially the younger generation, like availability of basic things like tea or bread or basics of needs that are manufactured were not. So my family really was moved to the border of Uganda and Kenya, a place called Wakaka or whatever it is. And they were involved in the smuggling of basic things from Kenya.
Oh, for them to survive?
Yeah, for them to survive.
Not that they were doing it as business?
Well, it was a business at the time. So you go and get sugar, you sell, you get tea, you sell. So I joined them at the age of 7. So we to start smuggling.
Smuggling.
Yeah, so it's, and then, but smugglers are like fishermen. So they never think about husbanding or growing things. You know, fishermen wake up in the morning, fish. As long as the lake is there, they don't plan for the future. They just they were the type of people, and therefore we had nothing. So we really ended up in extreme abject poverty. So until 1983, when I was taken up in a children's home in Salvation Army Children's Home. That's where I grew up. I spent 13 years of my life. Then I went to school. I went to nursery school at the age of 13.
A nursery school at the age of 13?
At the age of 10, yes.
10,
at the age of 10, yes.
Okay.
At the age of 10. I entered children's home just before 10. So I entered in nursery school, didn't even do BP1, did a bit of primary school, of course. I was very good in primary because probably I was older than many of the kids at the time. But that said, when I went to secondary school, I was mature. You know, my hormones were working. So I started reducing in my ability of concentration. So by the time I did my A-levels, I barely got grades. You know. So when I was sent to Kampala in 1996, I was 23 years old to come and do a certificate because I'd failed. And because no institution would take me on. I came and I did a 9-month course and started out as a cleaner with a company called Belex. where I was, I was a cleaner, and then I became an office messenger at Nile Safaris. Then I became a tour guide with a company called Habari. Then my last place that I worked was for a lady called Annette Chironde. Unfortunately, she passed on.
Yes.
She was my boss. She was my last boss.
Yes.
And so I set out earning about 20,000 shillings a month. That's what I was surviving then. I was living in a slum. By the time I left my work for Annette Chironde, I was earning close to $40, which is about 150,000 shillings a month. Started up my first business called Great Lakes Safaris.
At what age?
I was, when did I start? I started the day after my 28th birthday. So I make 53 on 22nd of April next month. And the company makes 25 years. So I was the day after my 28th birthday is when I started my own first. But the thing is that a lot of people think about this, they think about the age, but I spent so much time as a young man in the environment I worked in as an office messenger. It was a tourism business. Became an office messenger in a...
Is that Annette Chironde's or that was...
No, I was a cleaner at Belex at Sheraton.
Yes, Belex, yes, Belex Tours, yes.
Then I became an office messenger in Nile Safaris. Then I became a tour guide in Hambari Tours. Then my last job was with Annette Chironde Afrique Voyage. But all these places were learning. I mean, I always tell young people that in life, don't hurry for money. The number one thing you need to hurry for is actually a skill, and become so good at the skill. Because if someone came and gave you $1 billion shillings and you don't have a skill and experience, it means nothing. That's why you see many people inherit billions, or someone works in politics and makes so much money, but the moment they throw him out, it takes a short time for them to become broke, because they have nothing to offer. They have not exchanged value for value. When you learn how to exchange value for value, value scale against returns. So the number one thing you look for in a person as a person, look for something. If you're a TV presenter or a TV or editor, or whatever you are, you must make sure that when they're thinking about the best editor for news, you come out number one. You come among the best.
Right.
It's like today if you said, I want to deep information on tourism, chances are that they will tell you my name. You know?
Yes.
Why? Because I have taken time to...
You've invested.
Yeah, invest in understanding, in growing. And I read every day, 2 hours. Because one, I wasn't necessarily stupid in school. I was just never paid attention. But also things I did in school that helped me. And some of maybe parents are listening here. One of the things that I did was sports. I did a single sport whenever I got a chance, and I did a group sport. Single sport teaches you how to fight on your own, because many times in life, you will be alone and you have to fight alone. Fight with your thoughts, fight with the people, fight with the environment. You have to learn to fight alone. Number two, you must learn how to work with people. That's why you do a group sport. So, football is a group sport. They will abuse you, or the friends will kick you, and the life is like that. Life will kick you whether you like it or not. There are times when things will want to work your way. So my children as well, if you've seen very well my children, they did motocross, one of them was one of the fastest in 2022 on the African continent. He was competing in Germany, Holland, all over. You weren't coming to pick me up. But they also play single man sport, where you learn how to lose. That's what sports does, because you will lose at one point in your life. Then you learn how to fight back. You have to learn how to fight back. That's how God created us. Is the environment in which we live.
Yes.
Those things are there.
Yes.
So in a children's home, of course, so I did that. I also did leadership in school, which I think has helped me a lot in applying myself. As a kid, I did scouting. So scouting taught me how to live in the bush, how to do things, how to endure. And so if you're a parent and you have young children, these are very critical things for children to actually to actually do. And so I also did debate. So I was able to debate in school. So while I failed in exam, there's so much that I got in school that many people wouldn't. That's why there have been times when people I went to school with are like, this guy was daft in school.
I know.
How come he's able to write articles for the newspaper? I used to write articles for newspapers and engage on TV discussions and stuff like that. But they were judging me not based on the ability to, on the knowledge that I accumulated through sports, through leadership, through, they judged me based on how many points
the
I got in A
academics,
levels.
yeah.
Which I think that education, the role of education is to enhance critical thinking. But I think that if I'd paid attention, I would have done extremely well. It's just that I don't know if I'd done so well I could be doing what I'm doing today. I think it's a path, in my opinion, that God created, because when I finished my A levels in 1996, I had failed we had done A levels in March at that time. A levels were never done in end of the year,
Yeah,
like they are today.
It was done at the beginning of...
Yes, I remember May, the first week of May, praying to God and said, God, you gave me a chance to go to a children's home. Without the children's home, I would have never had a chance to go to school. I went to a children's home and I misused the chance. That's what I told God. And I said, God, if you give me another chance, I'm going to work hard. And the third week, I think 21st, the Canadian doctor who was working in Toronto Hospital comes and tells my guardian, take this guy to study tourism. It's certificate in tourism. That's how I ended up in Kampala. But you see, that's a path that now I know that God created.
Had orchestrated for you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So it is a path, but because I'd committed, all of us make mistakes. And when you make a mistake and then recommit, and I think that's why the Bible says that every man has sinned and run short of the glory of God. But we get better by renewing our mind. Renewing our mind means that we will always make mistakes, but we have to fight to bounce back.
Yes.
It's something I want people to understand. Yeah.
Yes. So, Mr. Wekesa, looking back, what mindset helped you to rise above your circumstances?
I think for me, as growing up as a young person, I saw how poor my family was. First of all, my firstborn was from a different dad, secondborn from a different dad. I was from a different dad. There was a lot of confusion in the home. That was very critical for me to understand. And that's why I have 3 children from the same wife,
Yes.
Me, I have to change where I was not responsible for where I came from. I am actually responsible for where I'm going.
Where you're going.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's very critical for us to understand. But also living in, my mother traveled when we were kids. We all pray that she comes back, because once she covered herself, as the government says, what we covered ourselves. And we had a grass thatched house, which was well thatched on the side of the parents, and the other side was
so when it rained.
When it rains, we just sit and watch until it dries up. And so I had a choice to either sit and condemn myself and regret, or actually wake up and face the world. And in 1996, when I committed to working hard, I've always worked hard from that time. Okay, even before, even in the children's home, one of the things that endeared me to the leadership was I was probably the best cleaner. I would do my work, slashing every day, which we did. We had all of us had work to do. We were 48 boys. But after that, I would go and clean. My guardians, both guardians, I would go and clean. They would invite me to wash plates, and I was good at it, So even when I made mistakes, I think I had a bit of, they had mercy on me. I was not a favorite kid, but they had mercy on me because they knew I was gifted in doing certain things. And that's why I tell my children that you can't say you're going to be a very important person. You cannot clean your plate. You can't cook food. Those basics of life. You can't clean your toilet. You can't. To me, you're going to be a useless person. You're going to be the ones, expecting so much from other people. So that cleaning, that habit, even when I came to Kampala, when I became a cleaner, I was just a good cleaner. Yeah, I didn't complain because, there was nothing for me to offer.
Excel at whatever you have been given to do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so, that mindset of saying, you know what, I came from poverty, and I'm going to fight it. Up to today, sometimes I wake up at midnight or 1, 2, or 2 a.m. in the night, and I remember how poor we were, and I work, and I would start working because, Then 2, the mindset of saying, just make a good name. No one can say, we gave this man
an opportunity.
Money for the service in Great Lakes Safari. We never got it.
Yes.
We may have other problems, but no one said that guy cheated me. or no single staff in the last 25 years can actually wake up and say, because I'm very vocal online, if I had cheated any staff or
They would
underpaid
come out.
or not paid, somebody would have come out to say it. But no one can say that because it's a commitment I had from that time. But I'm going to try and survive on a good name. Yeah.
So you started Great Lakes Safaris with very little capital.
Yeah.
How did you grow it into what it is today?
I think I had a lot of capital. If we think about capital in terms of money, I had very little. I had $200 savings.
You had $200.
But if you think about it in terms of knowledge, you see, among the Japanese,
yes,
they say that money contributes only 15% to the journey of success in entrepreneurship. And so I had accumulated a lot of knowledge, and I knew for sure with my attitude and hard work, something would happen, you know. And I'm the type of person who thinks so. Even when things are hard, I wake up like, optimistic of what's going to happen the next day. Yeah.
Okay, what makes Uganda a unique tourism destination in your view? You're always talking about that.
Yeah, I think 2 days ago, I tweeted about the memoirs of, a summary of the memoirs of Churchill. So Churchill visited Uganda in 1907. He actually arrived, he came by train from Mombasa. He went to Kisumu. From Kisumu, he crossed by steamer ship to Entebbe. Entebbe at that time was called Port Alice.
Oh, okay.
So he arrived at Port Alice. And then went across the country. He went to the west, Fort Portal, even rode a bicycle from Fort Portal to Kampala. He did stuff on the Nile. And he wrote a whole story, about his travel. And he said, out of all our possessions, there's probably very few there's almost none that can compete in terms of producing results like Uganda can. He just did not name it the Pearl of Africa by mistake, because it was their possessions. So if you read the development plan of the British for Uganda, and the one which was done in 1946, you will see what actually it meant. These people they play long game. They understand things, they do research. And this research had started a long time ago, even before Churchill came. The first group of people that came to Uganda were former soldiers. People like John Speak, Becker were former soldiers. It was hard for the other guys to come into the hinterland of Africa. There was disease, there were lions, there was so soldiers are the only ones who could manage to come to the hinterland of Africa, and Uganda is. But they're also researchers at the same time. So they came to do research on Uganda. When they came, what did they find? They found kings and kingdoms and chiefdoms. There were really systems that were working. There were 4 major kingdoms, and Bunyoro was the toughest kingdom in East and Central Africa at the time. Uganda was a strong kingdom as well. Busoga was a strong kingdom. Toro hadn't formed. Toro is about 200 years old, as a kingdom. I think it had still a young kingdom at the time.
Bunyoro, Uganda, those were the...
Absolutely. So his description of Uganda, I didn't appreciate the country until I became a tour guide. When I became a tour guide, I went across Uganda. And that's something that I thank God for, that God first opened my eyes about Uganda. So a lot of Ugandans, when they're talking about Uganda, they think about Uganda in terms of the boda guy they don't like, the neighbor they don't like, the potholes in the city. But Uganda is bigger than that, or the leadership, or somebody may not like opposition leader or a government leader. So they judge Uganda based on that very basic minimal understanding of the country. But then I became a tour guide. I did Uganda, I did Kenya, I did Tanzania, I did Rwanda. And there were times when I would start my trip from Uganda, do a whole month, and the moment we reach the border of Kenya, people start saying, why do Ugandans dress differently? Why do Ugandans look better? Why do, why is, when you go to Kisii, you go to Hero, you go to Kilgoris, towards the Masai Mara, it's dry. Then clients are like, but why is it so dry? So if I wanted tourists to enjoy their trip, I would start from Tanzania, Kenya, and then end up with the highlight of Uganda. It's green, lots of water bodies. Right. So you had a tropical rainforest. You have our culture makes us very strong. The availability of food makes Uganda some of the most friendliest people you've ever come across. And these are things we take for granted. Of course, I can also say that if we probably didn't have good 2 planting seasons, people online call me 2 planting seasons because they think it's a joke. They don't understand what that actually means. They don't understand that by 1926, when the Uganda Rail reached Jinja, it started transporting cotton to actually grow the spinning industry of the UK. UK had the biggest spinning industry. So the spinning industry of the UK actually depended on Uganda's cotton.
Yes.
So it's those kind of thinking that, so you can see the uniqueness I'm talking about, what makes Uganda a great country.
Yes.
But I've also had a chance to travel. There have been times when I travel about 15 countries in a year. And I've not just traveled countries. I've gone, the guys who go and sit in New York, look at the blocks and stuff. But if you say the US, I'll tell you I've gone climbing Mount Beckers, I've gone to the Crater Lake, I've been to Yosemite, I've been to Sequoia, I've been to the Grand Canyon, I've been deep. I've been skiing in France, I've gone across Spain, and I've seen what it is. And the more I travel, the more I appreciate Uganda.
Yes. What are some of the key mistakes entrepreneurs should avoid when starting out?
Well, I think one of the things that entrepreneurs must set their mind to is that they will make mistakes. Yeah. You must, at any one point, even at the highest level of entrepreneurship, there will always be decisions that you make that are not right. But I guess what entrepreneurs must learn in Uganda, for example, is to divide themselves from businesses. They must know that businesses are like independent human beings. I mean, one of the things that has helped me is that I earn a salary every end of the month. So I cannot have my own personal problem and go to Great Lake Safaris and withdraw money to support someone or support myself.
You earn a salary.
I earn a salary and I have to spend based on my own salary. Absolutely. So for over 20 something years, I've been paying myself a salary. Number 2, that you should never lose focus on what makes you strong. Your strength. There's a reason why you start a business. There's a vision that you've seen in something. And there will also be times that you make mistakes. For example, during COVID, I went into building of a factory in COVID. That was agro-processing.
Where's the factory?
It's Pella Commodities and stuff like that. I went into things because I was panicking. Because during COVID, there was no business. Business. I didn't know where the future was going to. So put a few millions of dollars there. And I should have been patient. But I thank God that I had savings. So if I'd borrowed, I would probably go down, So making mistakes is the mistakes I've made at a certain stage, the mistakes you make at a certain stage, you must be able to protect yourself with those mistakes by having a buffer every time you go. You see, the higher you go, the harder you fall. For example, when I was young, I probably needed $50,000 or $10,000 for the business to survive. Today, I have to look for millions because our expenses are in millions, as a business.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's hard, yes. So the higher you go, the harder it becomes.
The fall.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our salaries are very high. I mean, you have to pay many people in Uganda, you have to pay people in Rwanda, you have to pay in Tanzania. All this is resources. So it's a tough environment, but we work with minimums.
So you're in Tanzania and you're in Rwanda?
Yes, I'm in Rwanda as well.
Okay.
So it is that. The other one is understanding the difference between you and your relatives. A relative should work with you in your business only if they're competent. If they're not competent, and when you're working, there's no relationship there. The business is a business.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't say I'm coming at 8:30 if everybody's supposed to be in the office at 8.
That's 7.
Absolutely.
Yes.
People must produce results. And no one should make you guilty, because when you go down, none of the two trying to make you guilty will actually come to support you. So I've been very strict on that, in that particular front, because it is easy to make money. It's harder to maintain money, That's a matter of fact. The other one is always pray for wisdom. I mean, I always, not too much, but I used to pray for. I pray for three things. I pray for wisdom, because wisdom helps you apply knowledge correctly. Wisdom is divine. Knowledge can be achieved from
That's
God.
true.
That's why you can see so many people with so much knowledge, but they have no ability to transform that knowledge. See, intelligence is only manifested when you can transform a thought into a service or a product. You know that? When someone is intelligent, you can't say I'm intelligent.
You have to transform it into a product
Or a service that the community or environment can use or buy.
Yes.
So you can just wake up, me, I'm very clever. You clever? Or clever for what? You're only clever if you can produce products. The other thing is that I pray for God's protection, because we're just human beings, you know. And I've seen so many times, even last week I was coming from Tanzania and we were landing. I don't know whether we were going to crash, but we went back into the air. You know, and I've had those kind of times where
don't tell me, but I have a phobia with planes.
But I've seen God's protection.
Yes.
And last week when we were landing, it was 1 a.m. of Thursday last week.
Yes.
And we almost touching the ground, then we went up in the air.
Yes.
My heart was very stable, because stabilized. I just thought God is in charge. And then we went, I think, past Masaka, came back and landed again, you know. But you ask for God's protection.
Yes, yes.
Then the other thing that you need to do is ask for favor before human beings. Because God has put us on the world. If He wanted you to be alone, He would have put you on an island. But God puts you on the world to work with people. Whether they're difficult, malicious, or good, or bad, you need to work with them. You need to understand that bit of, you know, so the favor must be there.
Right.
And I've seen it in my own life. I enter a room, I'm going to give a talk, or whatever, and you can see it even online. Like, last week I'm just there, and then Gadaga has nominated me for an Africa-wide award. I'm just giving you such an example. I didn't talk to her, I didn't ask her, Honorable Gadaga, nothing. And when they posted about it, it went viral everywhere.
Yes.
People were happy, you know?
Yes.
It's favor before human being.
Favor.
Because you have to transact deals with other human beings.
That's true.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, so the other thing is, you must also continue to build yourself as a person. Also question yourself, who do I hang out with? If you hang out with 10 fools, you become an automatic 11th fool. But if you're not progress, you must hang out with people who are progressive. You know, that's what I tell a lot of young people.
Thank you, Mr. Wekesa. We've come to the end of the first part of the show. We're going to go into a break. So when we come back, we'll talk about Uganda and Africa's potential. So viewers, we'll be right back after this break.
Imagine if you could earn money in your sleep, or if money grew on trees. This can be you. Whether you're a parent who needs to save for fees, a circle looking to earn even more from their savings, or a business owner who wants to increase their capital quickly and safely, it's easier than you think. With Britam Easy Earner, you can earn competitive interest rates on your cash deposits in a period of 3, 6, or 12 months. Simply subscribe and watch your money grow. Call us on 0312 305 600 or email clientservicesug@britam.com for more information from our trusted experts. Britam Easy Earner. Britam is licensed and regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda.
Dreaming of land ownership but finding it hard to save? With Fabulous Beautiful Homes, your journey begins with the Land Saving Scheme, making it possible for every Ugandan to own titled land in organized, secure estates. From Ginger Road to Hoima, Bombo to Entebbe, we have secured prime land on all major roads leading to Kampala City, with packages tailored for every income level. Join over 2,500 Ugandans who have already made the move. Phase 7 is now open. Save now, own land later. Your future begins with Fabulous Beautiful Homes.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Soaring with Eagles. I hope you're tuned in. Please tell a friend to tune in on YouTube and on all our Manifest platforms. My name is Pastor Joy Ninsiima, and my guest today is Mr. Amos Wekesa, the CEO of Great Lakes Safaris. So, Mr. Wekesa, you've been very vocal about Uganda's tourism potential. What are we getting right and wrong?
I think one, in terms of wrong, is the fact that we don't study intense about Uganda. So you find a whole group of graduates in this country. If I sit down and start talking about Uganda, and in meetings or professors,
They're surprised.
They actually think, is that Uganda you're talking about? So, and you see, you cannot chase or grow a country. It's like a business. You can't grow a business which you don't understand. You have to have knowledge about Uganda for you to actually appreciate it properly. And that's what I said earlier on. Ugandans judge Uganda based on extremely very limited knowledge. An average Ugandan does not understand what it means to have an average of 28 degrees centigrade and having the best weather in the world. So they can't, and we're complaining about poverty. So we don't understand that the world last year earned $11 trillion from tourism. $11 trillion from tourism. That's what the world earned. Out of $11 trillion, 34 to 36%, people travel because we're looking for good weather. That's why you see Spain has close to 90 million tourists. And 90 million tourists means those are 90 million opportunities. That's what actually it simply means. And so as we wake up and then go to Spain, ask them for aid, as opposed to saying, why is Spain having... And Spain has really, I could call it mild, I don't know. It's not the best weather in the world. The best weather in the world is actually found in Uganda and another country called Ecuador. Ecuador lies around the equator.
Okay.
So the reason why Uganda has averaged the world best weather is almost divided into two by the equator. But at the same time, on a plateau, we're high. The lowest point in Uganda is 622 meters high in Lake Albert area, in Bundibuje area. Of course, the highest point is 5,109 meters, 8 meters, which is Margarita. But where we are here is averagely over 101,000 meters high. So because we're supposed to be humid, but because we are high, we averagely have the best weather in the world. The other one is we have two planting seasons. That what people always call me and tease me on Twitter. And I'll explain why the two planting seasons were so important at the beginning of the 19th century, when the cotton growing in Uganda actually pushed the survival of the spinning industry, which was a major industry in the UK, you know. And then going back to what used to make Uganda by in the 60s was far ahead of what they call it, the Asian tigers. It was so ahead that South Korea, for example, sent a group of researchers to spend a whole year in Uganda researching about our cooperative movement. They learned their cooperative movement from Uganda. You see what I'm talking about? But the cooperative movement had come out of a dream that the cousin of Obote called Nation had come up with. That dream was an export-based dream, and it was triple C and triple T. So triple C was cotton, copper, and coffee. Those were there to drive the export. Triple T was tourism, tea, and tobacco. Those were the six things that actually made Uganda far more successful than the current Asian tigers. But all this had also been born by the desires of the British. And that's why at one time, Uganda had the world, like by 1954, the biggest airport in Africa was Entebbe Airport. Yeah, but the desire had grown from a long time ago when the British looked at 6 major parts of the world, of Africa, and they paid their attention to. There was Alexandria and Cairo, there was Entebbe and Soroti, there was Durban and Johannesburg. So Cairo for the airport. Alexandra for the sea. Entebbe for the airport. Soroti is where the majority of the British Overseas Airline Corporation, which is now called British Airways, used to train all their pilots, for British Overseas Airline Corporation at the time. Then Durban was for the port and Johannesburg. So flights used to come from Europe, land in Cairo. From Cairo, come and 4 hours, land in Entebbe. From Entebbe, go 4 hours to Johannesburg and land in Johannesburg. And so the biggest airport in Africa was actually Entebbe Airport. So when you look at the total earnings of the world of 11 trillion, the whole Africa only had about 7% of the total earnings. That's a very small figure. And yet Africa, in terms of opportunities, when you look at, for example, soil, land, 60% of the arable land of the world is in Africa. Look at the rivers, look at the tropical rainforests, which hosts primates, different species of trees. Look at the coastal lines. You look at our culture of people. You look at the population growth. You got Africa has got 25% of the world population, but controls only 2.5% of the world GDP. I don't know, you understand a bit? Doesn't make sense.
Yes.
You see? But it's because we have not understood how the world works. Even when God has blessed us, people wake up every morning and just complain. Even the most educated people, you say, the reason why you're educated is God has chosen you to be part of a solution to an environment in which you live. Like me, I have been chosen by God for this particular time to make a difference in my time. And when I go, because we're only here, we're in transit, that's for sure. But this transit, we must live like we'll be here forever. So when I'm building something, I must build it so nice that in 500 years, someone should say, this was actually built 500 years ago. Every time I traveled, I was always curious. And I would go do my sales, say, in Europe or in the UK, for example. And then I would do a tour. And they take you to a place like Oxford and they show you this house was built 500 years ago. Then I think, what were my ancestors thinking 500 years ago? Why were they thinking like these people at this time, at that time? And so those people have where to start. Us, we're starting from scratch. Everybody's starting from scratch. And then starting from scratch, it means I'm also train the next generation. Because a successful country is composed of successful individuals. A failed country is a composition of failed individuals. So when you fail and I fail, we form what they call a failed society. If you succeed and I succeed, we create a successful environment.
Yes.
So I think for me that is important for Africans to understand what rivers mean. Like, for example, if the world made close to $4 trillion from good weather, shouldn't we all be waking up and thinking, if we have the best weather, should we be making billions of dollars from just weather? If Americans are making billions of dollars from people to watch birds there, and Uganda has 11% of the world's species of birds, or 50% of Africa's species of birds, or 73% of East Africa's species of birds, shouldn't we be making billions? We have 54% of the world population of mountain gorillas. But why would Rwanda with less make more than us?
Make more money than
What do we learn from them? So we need to, as Africa, there are countries that are fighting to leapfrog. But there are also countries that are spending so much time in internal conflict as opposed to actually focusing on the bigger picture. So Africa, in terms of potential, no one can beat us. Whether it's minerals, whether it's fertile land or the population growth. We have the youngest population in the world. We have a chance today if we prepare our young people to take over. Today, Germany has 10,000 businesses closing every single year because there are no people to inherit the businesses. They're not reproducing themselves.
Yes.
And So businesses die because there's no one to inherit them. But those countries, their growth is specifically anchored on family inherited businesses. You know, you find businesses started. I slept in a hotel in a place, small place in Germany called Wiesen. That hotel was first built in 1622.
And it's family.
It's a family, yes, still in the same line
of
the family until now. So we must think.
Yes.
And we probably have to change our education system to think outside the box, think about the future, you know. Tourism today is dominantly run by ladies, women, and young people. And the reason why young people are coming very many into tourism space is because, unlike us, me, I'm BBC. When I say BBC, I was born before computers. Born before computers, that's what BBC. That's what I call BBC. And today, a lot of young people are discovering that I can wake up and use this phone every day to abuse people, but I can also wake up and do business.
Exactly.
So a few young people are already waking up and realizing, hey, there's so much knowledge, there's so much ability. That's why you see young people waking up today. And they go and find someone with a boutique and clothes, and they become middlemen by selling using Instagram.
Yes.
My own son, when they were in S6 or S5, they used to go and buy. They used to go to the downtown, get a guy with a shop with shoes, and they start selling online. They will make money in that kind of thinking. So it is important for young people to see. But at the same time, more channels have opened up for them. You see, today, tourism, 75% of the tourism travel around the world, tourism-related travel, is influenced online. So when you see these top influencers in the world are paid by countries, like now as we speak, I think Will Smith, with over 72 million followers on Facebook, is in Angola. So Angola has hired him to come and just showcase their country. Why? Because the 72 million people that follows, the issue is not Will Smith. The issue is the followers of Will Smith that makes him relevant. You know? So for the young people, the number of young people joining the tourism industry is going to grow. Because Uganda's tourism is at a very low stage. When I wake up every morning and I go to my office, I look at Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is the world's largest tropical lake, the second freshwater lake in the world. It's empty. And studies by World Bank say that Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania miss out a potential earning of $63 billion because of an idle Lake Victoria. It's empty. Just imagine this was the US. Imagine Americans owned Lake Victoria. Imagine South Africans had Lake Victoria. Imagine the English.
What would they do?
Now, they say the reason why we miss out the money is because we're not doing the transport bit of it, the marine tourism, and fishing. This is gold. That's how. So we don't. So education system, an average guy wakes up in the morning, looks at that lake, it's empty, and no one is bothered. But we're bothered about our poverty, you know.
Yes.
But then it's not just like Victoria. God has given us 165 lakes as a country. 165. There's no country on the African continent that has more inland water bodies, fresh water bodies than Uganda. It's not there. It's just not there. So then you have say 53% of the world population of the mountain dwellers. You have 11% of the world species of birds. You've got the world largest, what they call the world capital of primates, Chibale National Park, 795 square kilometers, 14 different species of primates, 4 nocturnal, 9 diurnal. Like God blessed us. Queen Elizabeth National Park has the highest concentration of birds per square kilometer compared to any protected area in the world. Probably the most powerful waterfalls in the world is in Uganda. Not on the longest river, but also the source of the longest river is in Uganda, coming from the world's largest tropical lake. I don't know. We see this, you know, and when you read about the world history and you look at civilization, there were only the early civilizations. There was Indo civilization, which is Indian civilization, and the Nile civilization. So what went wrong with that? It's from the Nile civilization and Indo civilization that the Western world copied from in order to be where they are. So what happens to us? It's a questions that we need our young people to be thinking about. But in terms of tourism, we're going to see more young people coming into that space. And I just want to give an example. As a person, I spoke a lot, but I don't realize, okay, I need to do a public project that people can learn from.
Yes.
And that's how I started Rwenzori Marathon 2020.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, I started in Rwenzori Marathon 2022. We started in Kasese. Now, when we started in Rwenzori Marathon in 2022, Kasese itself had lots of challenges with flooding, which still is. Flooding. It had flooding, it had disease outbreak. It also had rebels. You've seen.
Yes.
Even before the last marathon 2023, 2024, there was an attack.
Yes.
But so then we marketed it. The first year we had 800 runners from 4 countries. The next year, 2,200 runners from 17 countries. The other year, 2024, we had 4,000 runners from 33 countries. Last year we had 6,000 runners from 36 countries. But when you go there during Rwenzori Marathon, every hotel is, even now, I think even hotels are full. They're full. Every restaurant runs out of food every August. It's crazy. August. Even rooms are moved from 500 bedrooms to 2,500 rooms in Kasese alone. Yeah. Just I'm trying showing people. The climbers with the Rwenzoris are $1 billion opportunity. There are only 1,000 climbers of the Rwenzoris, and Kenya, Kilimanjaro is doing about 65,000 climbers. And we moved from 1,000 to 11,000 per year. So I'm showing people what it means.
Yes.
You know, the guys, families in Kasese who give out their homes, and right now, during the Rwenzori Marathon, go to Chenjojo, which is cheaper. And that week they will make maybe 2 or 3 million shillings. And it's enough to pay school fees throughout the year. You know?
So you've transformed Kasese.
It is transforming. And Kasese people they've understood it. During that time, they make money. You have anything sells that time.
Yes.
But we still have a problem because 70% of the money meant to be spent by clients can't be spent because there's not enough things for them to buy. So we tried to tell people in Kampala during that time, look at where you can tap into it. The people who are watching, think about Kasese during that time. What is that you can do? Marathons are such a big, sports tourism has become such a big thing. 2025, the world earned $830 billion from sports tourism. In 7 years, it is going to be earning about $2 trillion from tourism. And marathons, why marathons, for example? You know, when you look at a football match, the 11 against 11, you have very little chances of ever playing. There are almost 0 chances of you playing for Premier League team. If you look at, say, Formula 1, chances of you going there and playing there almost 0. Top golfing is almost 0. But marathon, up to 10 years ago, it used to be just for the elites. Today, you can practice and go to apply to be at New York Marathon and run with the best on the same track. And that's why you see, like, Wahun just had the marathon recently. 450,000 people applied for 30 slots. London Marathon filled up in a short time. 1 million people applied to just be part of the 56,000 people.
Yes.
So and yet New York Marathon alone leaves $1 billion that week. New York. Chicago Marathon, $750 million just that week in consumption, transport, food, entertainment, you know. So we have not yet.
We haven't yet grasped.
Yeah, so I'm trying to open people's mind to understand. I mean, when we go to Kasese, every year we have a research group from Makerere. Last year alone in Kasese, we left 34 billion shillings. Now, we feel Kasese, we feel Ishaka, we feel Fort Portal. All the accommodations there fill up. And they triple or quadruple their prices.
Yes.
But still people want their rooms.
Right.
You know? So it is that mindset that is going to remove us from poverty as Africans.
So I want to talk about your faith. What role has faith or belief in God played in your journey?
I can't say that I'm, what can I say? A Christian fanatic. I don't think I am a Christian fanatic.
Are you born again?
But I believe in God. Yes, say born again. Yeah, I believe in God. I believe that He rose because of
Did you accept Him as your personal Savior?
Of course I have.
Okay.
But one thing I'm very careful about is that people misuse religion, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I say this because you think about the first group of people that came to Uganda. They came as researchers. When they found the kings and the chiefdoms, they realized it was very difficult for you to remove the attention of Ugandans from their kings and their chiefs. And the missionaries came as a second group because the missionaries did not come because they liked us. They actually came because they had a mission. The mission was to remove us from the King of Kings, not in the way it should have been. They removed. That's why you see the Uganda matters. If you read history, you'll understand this. So the Bible can actually be misused, but it can also be used the right way.
Yes.
So they say, don't focus on your leaders at the time. Don't focus on your king. Don't focus on your chief. You know, that was the main reason why the next group. Then the third group that came were the business people. They were the ones who started doing the railway, started doing stuff like that. Because then the people had been removed, the focus had been removed from the leadership. But you always need leadership at the same time. So I'm saying the Bible can be used for the right purpose, and it can also be
abused.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But I also believe that God blesses the works of our hands. Yes, I believe God can create miracles, and we're a miracle. A human being is a miracle. Yeah. If you, even the earth is a miracle. I don't know if you have taken time to read about the Milky Way galaxy. Take time and read it about how the world is formed. The earth is so small compared
to the other.
First of all, to just the continent. Africa is small compared to the continent. But the whole world, Africa is small compared to the universe, the world. But the universe, the earth again is a universe. They say it's like a small grain of sand. You see what I'm talking about? And when you read about just the axis of the sun, if the sun came down 1 kilometer, it would all
be burned.
If it went higher, it would be different. But that sun moves in the same axis. I don't know, we get what I'm talking about. It's God who did it. If you study so much about the other galaxies that exist out there, even the music, the research have shown that even those galaxies, in the way the noises that come, they are praising God. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So I believe that, but I also don't believe so much in. Sometimes we have fanatism,
which is not right. Anything that's too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want people to understand that just human beings will make mistakes. You have to ask God for you, but also you have to understand that yes, there are miracles, but there are certain times when miracles are not needed. There's so many times when we just need to wake up and work. Yeah. It's because God has created us as very unique beings, very unique beings. He's given us a brain. Me here, I'm 53 next month. I have never seen my heart pump. I've never seen it out here, but it has pumped for the last 53 years.
53 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
My brain is coordinated. He has given me a brain to use. He has given me hands to use. That's what God has done. But if I sit back and say, God, give me a miracle now, I'm making a mistake, you know?
Yes. So, Mr. Wekesa, do you know we've come to the end of the show so quickly, and yet there's so much I would have liked to ask you. So, would you like to look into the camera and give your last parting shots?
First, I think we are just blessed to be human beings. But at the same time, we are blessed, more than blessed, to be Ugandans. And there's a reason why God created us in Uganda. And it's important for us to dig deep. First, what is that particular gift that God has given you that you have not used? Because I believe that God is going to question you for that. Number two, why haven't you used that gift to grow Uganda? Why aren't you the solution?
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Wekesa. I know the viewers have learned so much about Uganda. I have also learned a lot about Uganda. And I believe that 10 to 20 years from now, we'll see a very big change in our country. Yes. So viewers, I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, may the Lord bless you, expand your territories and borders, lay his hand upon you and keep you far away from evil. Bye-bye.
Manifest TV, Christ revealed.
You think you've seen glory, you have only glimpsed the horizon. When you think you have tasted power, you have only sipped a few drops. You think you've touched magnificence, you have only